Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never
trust the government in what they're doing. I do not trust what Boris is saying. I think Boris is a real mess right now.
Well, he said this week that he wouldn't take the knee. I'm guessing that the real story would have been if he said he would have taken it, right?
Well, he said that he doesn't want to do any little gestures. But every Thursday we've been coming out of our house to clap for NHS. That's a gesture, isn't it? You know, why are we not important? Sometimes I wonder, why are we not important to the rest of the world? Why have we got to be always screaming to say, this is what we're fighting for? And why can't Boris come out and say something? Why is there always a distraction?
And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say.
We'll just help an album go because you're not going to buy it.
What's it got to do with me? If Will and his missus want to do their business, why is this you coming out now and telling everybody? What's that about?
It sounds like spite. It sounds like spite. It sounds like that she's probably dropped him. And this is a 27-year-old young guy. She's in her 40s. She might have thought, that's it for now. I've finished with you. And he might have not been tooled up enough to be able to deal with that.
When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something.
All my dolls, all the dolls in my house are black. I got a doll collection because I love dolls, and I've always made sure from the 80s I was in America buying black dolls for my daughter, so that when my daughter comes into this world, she's lucky that I did have a girl. Then she could see these little toys around her represent her. The books, that's always been in our house. It's just who we are, and it's deliberate as well.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Your daughter.
That's Chucky.
I told you he's the best.
That's one of my daughters.
They'll go far because she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say from the 3 best comedians in the UK.
Right, Curtis, you're going on a date. This is all over. Is it even coming to your head? Who's paying for that food, Curtis?
At this point in time, hell yes. And it won't be me. It won't be me. At this point in time, it won't be me. Yeah?
Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie, they'll go far because she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together.
Keep the comments coming in. Please remember to like and share. Hashtag NoJoke. See you next week.
Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say from the 3 best comedians in the UK. They've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw. Bringing us together. Hashtag NoJokes.
Hashtag NoJokes.
Angie, have you thought on this? Have you talked to your children about this?
Yes, and especially to my, the son, this is what you do, my daughter. If you ask somebody out for a date, you are responsible for paying that date.
Sicker than your average podcast. Trying to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie, they'll go far because she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say from the 3 best comedians in the UK. They've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw. Bringing us together. Hashtag NoJokes.
Hashtag NoJokes. Hashtag NoJokes. Hashtag NoJokes. Hashtag NoJokes.
Greetings and welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us. This is hashtag No Joke. My name is Eddie Nestor. It's something that we decided to do, myself, Curtis Walker and Angie Lamar, for 6 Sundays, just talk about what's going on. We are in troubling, difficult and emotional times. This is the 5th of 6 weeks. So next week is our last week, unless. I got to say, a particularly emotional week for me. Lots of things happened. Hopefully we can talk about. Really important that you like, comment and share. Tell other people, get involved in the conversation. We read out as many of your comments as we can. We talk about as many of your thoughts as we can. For the second week in a row, we start by paying respects. Last week it was for somebody that we knew and loved called Jackie Hilton, and this week it's for the double Mobo award-winning DJ Steve Sutherland. Our thoughts and best wishes, respect and condolences go out to his family. Let's get started. So Curtis Walker, one of the nation's funniest people, was in the real McCoy, had several pilots. You know him if you know anything about comedy. How are you, Kurt?
I'm better than you, Eddie. You're all right. You seem a little lackluster this afternoon.
Who are
You're juicing. What's up? You're eating.
I honestly do feel a bit like that. But the great thing is that I actually now look forward to the Sunday. Sunday used to be the worst one, but now it's Friday. That's the rubbish. Have you got a rubbish day of the week?
Probably Sunday for me in the evening. Sunday dinners. Yeah, that family time, you know?
There, have you?
Yeah, that's why it's depressing. I got to sit down with her.
That's why I love you, bro. One day she's gonna come in while you're doing it, and then you got a problem. Is Angie still at church?
I don't know. I think she texted me, said God loves me.
He loves all of us. Hello, Angie.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Every week you're amazing. You ain't got Chucky again. Oh, for goodness sake. She come back with a dog.
Good afternoon, everyone. I kind of missed you guys. I'm really happy to see you.
Good afternoon, Angie. You're looking fantastic, my darling. Look at you. Wow.
I've got to say, I wouldn't have to get entangled with anybody because you would just wear a different thing, and every day I would think you were somebody else, Angie. With that week.
Oh my God! You start with the entanglement already.
No, I'm not. It's coming up. We're not gonna stop there. Look, Angie. I've got to say this was for me a really tough week. So we promised, didn't we, that we would always do this as honestly as we could. So yeah, I would never normally start here, but I just think, if you don't mind, for me today, let's start here. So my dad only ever took me to one place. Yeah, he took me to a match in 1976 with the West Indies playing against England, and it was a time when Tony Gregg had said we're going to make them grovel, difficult racial times as they are now. Grovel. Yeah. I think you'll find that this person I'm going to play a little bit of now took 14 wickets. I ran onto the pitch as a child. I'd never been anywhere with my father. So anything to do with whispering death, Jamaican superstar broadcaster Michael Holding always takes a special place. He is my superhero of the week. Here was the first interview in a rain delay where they were talking about race.
Yeah. We're talking about brainwashing. I didn't quite understand as a young man what brainwashing meant. I now understand what brainwashing meant, what it means. We have been brainwashed, and not just black people. White people have been brainwashed in different ways. I go back many years. Think about religion. You and I are supposed to be Christians. I'm not really a very holy person, not a very religious person. But that's what we were taught. Look at Jesus Christ, the image that they give you of Jesus Christ. Pale skin, blonde hair, blue eyes. Where Jesus came from, who in that part of the world looks that way? But again, that's the brainwashing to show you this is what perfection is. This is what the image of perfection is. If you look at any plays of those days, Judas, who betrayed Jesus, he's a black man. Again, brainwashing people into think, oh, he's a black man. He's the bad man.
Cool.
It got shared so many times. Yeah. It touched a chord. Angie, let me come to you. How did you feel? Let's talk about, because there's another video that I want to show, but let's talk about that one first, Angie.
Well, that was just really one of those videos where you know, sometimes when we watch people speak and we hold our breath and we think, oh my God, what are they going to say? This was one of those moments where we sat back and every second of that conversation was just perfectly executed. He spoke for so many of us and he spoke for himself so authentically. I mean, my father used to play cricket. He used to play cricket over here, and I remember going cricket every Sunday. That was my excuse of getting out of church because my dad would pick us up and take us to cricket. Cricket, Gary Sobers, from going back, I know cricket. So to see somebody in this environment talking about what they've gone through, you know, I think we suffer from Stockholm syndrome in our community. We're suffering from the fact that we have not been able to tell our absolute truth, so much so that we've accepted so much of what's happened to us and just seen it as the norm. Now, him speaking quite clearly about what we were told about Judas, about Jesus. I mean, they managed to find a black Judas, but they can't find a black Jesus. They know what they're doing, and they've convinced us over the years that what they're doing is normal. And I think having someone speak so clear means that we have to now go and do the work to undo, and so does society, undo what we've been taught and undo what we have taken as acceptable behavior to fix it, to start to balance where we're going in the future. I thought it was absolutely emotional, really emotional to hear a black man speak about what they've had to go through and how they feel about society.
Do you have confidence, Curtis, that we are there? We are in a moment, because the next piece of video is going to show that he isn't talking about white people, he's talking about us. So are you confident that we are in a moment, Curtis?
I think going back to why we started doing this podcast or this every Sunday, everybody has a moment, you know, when you get that chance to just breathe, just express yourself, all of the stuff that's been on your back for years, and you are unaware how it was affecting you. Suddenly, after George Floyd, you had a chance to say, boy, and this, and this, and this, and stop doing this. And why are you doing that?
Anger, Curtis. And
it's not anger. It's only because the way I'm saying
perceived, isn't it?
So what?
For me, maybe right now, it's not anger. It's breathing, Eddie. It's letting all of that was called a chip on your shoulder. Oh, you got issues. And we were saying a couple of weeks ago, it's about, oh, it looks like anger, but it's frustration. It's frustration for years. People have been talking about Black Jesus and about Judas and all of the images of black as a negative thing. Absolutely. And Mr. Holding has just hit a moment in his mind, in his life, where he's gone, hang on a minute. You remember he said he didn't know he was even brainwashed. He starts the sentence about brainwashing. And this is what has been going on throughout centuries. And so therefore, into the next bit, you'll get black people hating on black people. You'll get black people treating black people terribly because it's a taught behavior. And if you don't value yourself, what have we got? What have we got?
If we're angry for this, if we are angry and we should be angry, so what?
Yeah, but I think anger is such an ugly thing, and it's not constructive. But it's not anger, it's frustration. When I'm talking.
If somebody ran up in your face right now and dragged your child and started hitting your child, you ain't going to sit there and go, you know, before
Well, no, we've got a video with that as well, Angie. Wait, the problem is, and Curtis, but as with all due respect, and I don't mean this the way it's going to sound, but as a man, and Curtis as well, Anger's the one emotion we have in bucket loads, Angie.
I'm
We
saying,
are now learning.
Being allowed to be angry, being allowed to, we are traumatized as a race of people. We're suffering. We haven't had no counseling. You can come from a history of slavery, 100 years of torture, and still live in that and never need
I'm not telling you you're wrong, but I live in England. My children live in England, and I have to communicate in a way that's not going to be dismissed as something that you have already seen, that you already know. I have to be.
Anger is such an ugly emotion, Angie. It's so ugly, and I'm guilty of it because I love anger. I embrace myself in anger. I love anger.
Torture.
Sorry, Angie.
How do you get to the next stage if you just show anger, Angie?
All of that is sorry. I'm saying to you.
How do you get to the next stage if all you show is anger? It's a straight question.
Did I say to you? Listen, you're not starting off ready now. Did I say to you that I started off angry and I'm going to stay angry? I'm saying we are not allowed to be angry. And so when we see ourselves in situations, people don't accept or understand where that's coming from. And sometimes neither do we know where that's coming from.
I see a lot of black people angry, Angie. I don't know what you see, but I'm not in church as much as you are. So I'm not as good or holy or whatever. I see a lot of angry. What do you want me to do? I see a lot of angry people.
Of allowed to be angry. I don't need to be allowed to be angry. That is one that is just instinctive. It's a go-to.
I'm not saying, what do you not understand? I'm not saying we are being allowed to be angry. I'm saying, can you understand why some people
otherwise we're going to show you angry.
Yes.
Don't be angry. You think I can't reach there too?
Yeah, I've seen you there.
Shut up.
Don't give him that stare. Right. Okay. So look, we clearly need your help on this. If you're watching, listening today, I just want a bucket full of comments, right? Because I'm up in my emotions today, so I need your help. Now, one of the things that I'm getting used to is seeing black men cry. It's a thing that I never used to see. It. I saw my dad cry once, and he was drunk when my mother's mother died. That's the only time. So is it something that I know or am used to? Here is Michael Holding explaining why he felt it necessary to say what he said.
Speech yesterday, you seemed visibly upset. How difficult was it emotionally? I mean, in the middle of a rain delay at a cricket match on live television.
To be honest, that emotional part came when I started thinking of my parents. And it's coming again now. Mark, I know what my parents went through.
All right, take your time, Michael. Take your time.
My mother's family stopped talking to her because her husband was too dark. I know what they went through, and that came back to me immediately.
All right, Michael, well, look.
I don't know about you, but I don't find that kind of thing easy to look at, you know. It hurts me to my soul. Because he wasn't talking about white people. And sometimes in these types of conversations, we're really happy characterizing white people. But as a result of colonization, Steve Biko said, wherever colonization is a fact, the indigenous culture begins to rot. And I imagine he means rot in different ways.
Yeah,
but Curtis, you first. Tell me what you know about shadism.
A lot of the Caribbean was suffer from skin tone issues. You know, the lighter the skin, the more suitable you are for society. Years ago, when I used to go to Jamaica on a regular, in the banks, in the law firms, was always light-skinned people. It's an issue, and it always has been an issue. But it's if you go I've been to India, Mumbai, you will see bleaching agents being advertised on big billboards, like just to lighten your skin, because they have
the untouchables.
Untouchables. They have that out there. So it's throughout the world, wherever Europe traveled and left its legacy, There's issues with that. But I'm very mindful, you know, that as a society, our debate doesn't move away from what this initial movement, the Black Lives Matter, was about. We have issues. We have issues. And as a society, we're going to deal with the issues and we have to discuss them. But don't get blindsided, you know. Don't let it implode on each other. Let's stay focused on what that is. And that was about economics, yeah, educating our children and living a little bit more respectful of anybody of color. That's how it started. So I don't want to go into the, yeah.
Right, so you don't want to do the shadism thing here now, because that's a result, of something else.
I don't mind doing it, but I just don't want the narrative to change on this movement and the way that I'm feeling within myself. I want that to stay the same. I want to keep empowered, and I'm feeling really empowered. But if you're going to turn me on to, light skin, dark skin, real hair, fake hair.
I'm not. What I'm trying to explore with you, Curtis and Angie, is that if we recognize something, yeah, then we can start to talk about. We talked a lot in the past, Angie, about your daughter and her education and what you thought about the system. One of the main tenets of his argument in both pieces was education, and education for everybody. We've well documented on it, you know, history is written by the victor. But how much of a responsibility, Angie, do you take in saying maybe this is where mum and dad were, but I need to talk to my children about how we develop, how we grow?
But that's the thing I've always been advocating, is the open dialogue and that real conversation. You know, sometimes when and I go back to what I was saying earlier, it's not about being angry, it's about being organized in our conversation. So when we try to heal one thing and something comes up, we haven't actually dealt with that other thing. So Mike was talking about one thing, and the tears of his parents, what they went through, completely went somewhere else, because we haven't actually dealt with stuff that we've gone through. We've just been getting on and getting on and getting on. And so what is great about what's happening in this movement is that we're allowed to speak clearly and go, you know, whilst this was hurting me, this was hurting me. We need to somehow come to a conclusion draw a line in the sand where we can say, guys, we've got stuff that keeps coming up in generation. So the shadism thing keeps coming up in every generation. You've got younger people now talking about it. It seems to be going down further in the route. So to be able to go, whilst we're talking about this, we need to bring this up, because that's exactly what he done. So the conversation that I have with my daughter and my children is layered with things that, why this might make you feel angry, why this may make you feel insecure, why all the things on social media, the comparison that's attacking our children, and their self-esteem is being eroded simply because they don't know where they fit in society. So as a responsibility, we have to now speak up and say, you fit here. And this happened because of this and because of this. And everybody's going to hear our story.
No. I suppose my point is, my mum and dad, God bless them, they came to this country and they used to say to me all the time, I send you to school to learn.
That's right.
But they weren't, when I can analyze it now as an adult, they weren't able to supplement that education in the way that hopefully we can, in terms of talking, reading, contextualizing. And that has got to be a really important thing that we do, right?
Absolutely.
I think it's important, but I'm very mindful that sometimes we go too far. You know, we do a lot and as parents, a lot of talking. I grew up a lot younger than you guys, but my dad didn't talk to me at all, other than shut your mouth and put the dustbins out. That's all the communication me and my father really had. And it wasn't till in later life, when he was sitting on his veranda in Jamaica, sat down with this man, and this is probably like 2 years before he passed away, and he told me he went to America and picked cotton. I had no idea that my father, I said, Dad, you was a slave. He said, no, them pay we $1 a week. We get $1 a week. And I had waited, or not waited, but it had taken pretty much all his life, or all my life, sorry, for him to communicate with me on that level. We never spoke on that level. My dad had done things at the age of 17, 18, 19 that I never knew. And maybe our relationship would have been a lot different had we had that time out to talk, you know?
And that's the point I'm making, Kurt. It's about the stuff that we have to unpick, because not getting that information and how that made you see your dad, all that information, it strengthens you or it weakens you, or whatever it does to you, but it's stuff that we have to discuss. We don't discuss things, we close things down. I talk with my mum and dad when my dad was alive. My dad used to just sit on the veranda and just tell me everything. My mum is telling me stuff about what happened when she was growing up.
Yeah.
You know, my mum is deaf in one ear. When she was growing up, they didn't know she was deaf. They just thought she was hard of hearing. So they used to beat her a lot. She shows me her scar. She wears her dress at a certain length because she's got a big scar. That's what was happening. So that kind of information makes me look at her with such strength and such admiration, because now I can look through and go, you know what, for that you've gone through, this I'm going to stand on, this is what I'm giving my children. That's why I say we need open dialogue, especially Black people sitting down going, we need to talk by ourselves, nobody else invited, just us sit there and go, I hurt, I cry, and in pain inside is this anger. The anger that I'm talking about is pain, and it's So let's get this thing twisted that I'm saying go out there and be angry.
Let it go, Angie. We're not on the anger thing. We know what you meant, babe. Angie, I'm not allowed to say babe. I keep saying babe.
No, don't call her honey, chick, babe, sweetie, lovey, or darling.
Oh, darling. Sweetheart. Sweetie, cutie pie. Oh, she gone.
Why she don't take Chucky
but be aware,
again?
Angie, when we're having this meeting of all Black people, there will be people there who start a sentence with bomb or this, and then I switch off, because the anger and the pressure. You're talking about a room full of Black people having that conversation. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk.
In your own groups.
But it's like in my barbershop, when it's open, in my barbershop, there are brothers in there who shouldn't be allowed to talk to anybody.
You can't say that.
No, I'm telling the truth. If a sentence start with bomb or this, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. You're not the one that should be enlightening the rest of us.
No,
people should be allowed to talk.
Hello.
They would have said that about Marley. They said it when he had
That's what.
No. Very articulate, man.
Neither of you listen.
No.
Hello.
In Jamaica, when they saw Rastas, they never wanted to listen to Rastas, and so
Rasta, yeah.
That Bob Marley.
That's why I cut off my lot
at that time. You never know here to start with.
So listen up. We've got one more.
Let me just say this, Eddie. Sorry. Let me just say this. My grandmother in Jamaica, when I was a child going to visit, said to me, "Come out of the sun. Anything too black for tire swamp."
Sorry to hear
that. Go
on,
Eddie.
Just got to let that live, because I imagine there are lots of people listening, watching us now who have equally horrible things that were said. When did you realize? Let me just ask you one before we move on. When did you realize that was a bad thing she said to you?
When my mum said, "Don't listen." When my mum said, "Don't listen to her," it's my father's mother. So when my mother said, "Don't listen to that woman, don't listen to her," I'm exposing my family business, but that's pretty much when I didn't really understand it, if I'm honest, what she was saying. I was barely understanding the patois in Jamaica. It was an early visit. But when you think back, it's things like that just like Andy's saying, there's stuff going on in our minds that we really need to. Whereas a lot of communities go to psychiatrists every minute. We don't, and we don't talk to each other, you know?
That's right. And when I say
my wife tells me I need to go to one.
When I say Eddie. You do need it. You in particular need it, Eddie. You do.
Yeah, very much so. Well said, Angie.
Because years ago, when I started my career years ago, right, I was actually training to be a counsellor. And one thing that training will say to us, counsellors need counsellors, because they need to dump their stuff that they are getting. So the stuff that we are getting needs to be dumped somewhere for someone to say, that's okay, don't worry about that, move forward with that, think like this, and get it off their chest. So that's what I'm saying that we need to do, and we shouldn't unroll.
Well, this is my therapy, Angie. Have you not worked that out?
I've worked it out, because you're such a pleasant guy of late.
So look, we're going to come to those.
But I know what saves your sanity for us is stand up as well. Like stand up I know. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, you're right.
It's therapy for
yeah.
me to get on stage and talk is my therapy.
Get it out.
If I'm honest, get it out. The audience might not like it, but
on that, then, if people are listening, what's the thing that you do for your therapy? What's the thing that you do? Your kind of catharsis? Is there something you do, or do you, like me, have a resistance to going and telling somebody all your business? Anyway, we'll get your thoughts, but on just to finish on Michael Holding before we get some of those messages from the boss, I just want to say I found it fascinating him telling the story in the second video to somebody. Well, let's not make it about Mark, but David Harewood, an actor that we all know, said this is why he doesn't talk about it anymore. It's exhausting. And I felt that when I watched Michael in it. You're asking somebody to relive a trauma. Yeah. And you're saying it as though you're saying, go and pick up, I don't know, shopping from Tesco. And unless you get the fact that, because if I went to a therapist, and I did talk to a therapist, Angie, I'm hoping that that therapist would understand when I'm talking about something that traumatized me.
Yeah.
But I get it again and again when guys go on and they start talking about or justifying why they feel the way they feel or what Black Lives Matters means to them. They're talking and the person they're speaking to doesn't get the trauma. Is that me? Am I being overly sensitive?
But you got to find your tribe. You got to find the people you talk to. I've got a group of people, friends that I would talk to, and they won't judge me. And there's different types of.
No, but I'm talking about interviews, Angie. If you get the call to go on Piers Morgan tomorrow,
I'm not going. I'm not going. And the reason why I'm not going, because, they call me to talk about black. I can talk about gardening, and I can talk about walking dogs, and I can talk about flowers. I can do it all.
Dolls.
They always call me.
And dolls.
And dolls. And that's why when you called me to talk, I said, I'm ready to talk now, because the people have been calling me to say, talk about Black Lives Matter. I don't want to talk about it because it's traumatic as well. So for me to just press that number and go, well, what we're trying to do here to please you, I'm not doing it. I've got to find my people and heal. I've got to pray to my God and heal so I can find my peace when I see things that really hurt me. You watch a man die. You watch people being dragged every Facebook doesn't take it off air. They see it and they keep pushing it. You're seeing children stabbing each other, killing each other. You're seeing that all the time, and you get up and you just go to work. That's traumatizing. And you need to be able to dump that somewhere, and especially young black boys, especially young black girls.
Yeah.
They're going through stuff that they're seeing their friends get stabbed. They're seeing their friends get arrested. They're seeing stuff and they come home quietly and they go to their bed. That is traumatic. We are traumatized, and we must have responsibility for that.
Yeah, look, please keep your thoughts coming in. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Curtis. Let's get the boss on now and read some of those messages that are coming in.
Hello. Hi, Angie.
Hey,
Hi,
Lisa.
Curtis. Hello, Eddie.
Hey, loving your colours today, girl.
How's the detox going, Curtis?
Very well, my darling.
Is he detoxing?
Yes, he is. Secretly.
Boss, could you get on with your... That's a private conversation, yeah?
Loving the messages today. Very passionate.
Jada.
I'm not Jada. Right.
Will.
Sunday blessings, everybody.
No, I'm definitely not Will.
Will you stop?
Loving the messages, everybody. Very passionate in the chat room today. Amanda Perry says he spoke from the heart and used his platform to tell the truth.
That's right.
Denise Francis says you can be angry. It's how you control it. Yvonne White says, I love the banter between the three of you. I agree. And so does a lot of people in the chat room. And Annette says, I suffered because I'm mixed race. I think that's one for the topics.
Yeah.
Maybe next week. Keep the comments going. Like and share. Don't forget to hashtag NoJoke. I'll be back soon.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Lisa. Well done.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Press the button. Or just stay there. Okay.
So
now that's an interesting one. The last one, I suffered because I'm mixed race. Be intrigued to know what that means.
When we did our
in what
first
way?
one, we talked about that because I was approached by two people who said, well, I don't know what Black Lives Matters mean to me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? One of those. And then they explained to me that as people of mixed race, they don't feel as though they fit in anywhere.
Yeah.
They're treated a particular way by black people and by white people. And I, again, just thought they were the people with the pretty hair and the straight nose who white people went on to tanning beds to be, and black people took bleaching cream to be like. And so for them to be traumatized, and I'm not saying all of them, I'm just saying the ones that spoke to me, right? I just, again, I say, Angie, I was blown away by it. I didn't realize.
But we've always known that there was a difficult story to tell, and that it was a varied story to tell, because not every mixed race person is the same mix. Culturally, they're different mixes as well. So that doesn't get taken into consideration. You know, sometimes mixed race people can't stand out as saying I'm mixed race, because when people see you on the street, you're light skinned. So you've got people who are black, who are lighter or darker than mixed race. So when it comes to lumping people together, you are black, you are over there. That's what some people say. Yeah. And then they say, we're seen as black, we want to have our own voice. And then in terms of having your own voice, I think you have to create your own voice and create that platform so that we can look in and go, okay, what is your story? What do you experience? Rather than try to go, okay, we're black, so you're in this story, but yet you've got other things discuss. I think it's fair for them to create a platform too, because I hear so many different stories, not black enough, not white enough, you know, the rejection that they feel. And it's quite sad because we assume that we're kind of inclusive and taking everybody in.
It's like Eddie was saying, everybody seems to be aspiring to be mixed race, if we're honest, you know what I mean? But I think it's a lot to do with how you, it's the healing thing, isn't it? It's about that therapy thing. How do you see yourself as a mixed race person? How do you define yourself is what we all should be going with. Do you know what I mean? If you're not mixed race,
you can't live by how you describe and define yourself. How does the world see Bob Marley,
no, I mean,
Barack Obama?
The issues you would be having might be because you haven't worked out who you are yet or who you want to be yet. Do you know what I mean?
But then we're going full circle back to that thing Angie was saying about the conversations we have with our children. It's incumbent upon any parent to say, well, look, you are unique.
Yeah, but a parent can't name you. A parent can name you, sorry, but they can't define who you're going to be or how you're going to see yourself in society.
Who's going to define
the individual has to be the individual.
Well, yeah, but not as a child, Curtis.
Because when your father said to you, you're gay, your father said to you, you're gay, Eddie, you're gay, you're gay. It doesn't mean you're going to grow up and be gay.
One at a time. God's sake, guys, one at a time. Okay.
Look at you see what he's done.
Look who's talking.
Look, you disappoint me, Angela. Right, okay, look. Let's try Amy Cooper. So, come on. Much of what we're dealing with here is now after the death of a man called George Floyd, who was killed by a serving police officer who's now going through the program, and whatever that brings. But if we go back even before that, there was a woman called Amy Cooper, a guy called Christian Cooper. Not related. He was looking at birds in a forest,
like you do.
And let's take a look at the original video, shall we?
He is recording me and threatening me and my dog. There is an African American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog. And I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the ramble. Please send the cops immediately.
So we know that story. Yeah. The story now is that he thinks she's suffered enough. She's been charged. He will not cooperate with the prosecution because he is determined that she has suffered enough. She's lost the dog she was trying to strangle there, and she's lost her job. Curtis. Thoughts?
Yeah, I want to be angry or annoyed at him, but he's a bird watcher. The man he's obviously not in for the long haul. He didn't realize his video was going to go viral. He was just filming a woman who didn't have her dog on the lead, and it got away from him. We can't judge him harsh for that. He's not the one. You know, he's gone to that peaceful place where black people go just to cool off, where people go. We're just going to let it go. He got caught up in something he doesn't want to be involved in. It's sad. because we all want him to push. But as we understand, she can still be prosecuted because the evidence is there. And I think I'm a harder person because I would not let that go at all. I don't care if she lost her dog, her job, because it speaks volumes for the next person who tries it. That's why. It speaks volumes. If you're gonna scream and shout, a black man is on me, he's attacked, and the voice, and you saw what she did, we discussed it before. I don't know if that was taught behavior, you think? But my word, she was good.
The fact of the matter is, okay, let's get her into her acting classes when she comes out. Because the truth of the matter is this, right? This could have been attempted murder, right? Attempted murder. This guy, Christian, is, you know, with all due respect, we don't all want to be in the cause, but sometimes we get caught up in the cause and we're just about to change history. You know, this is those women, those Karens or whatever they call them, who actually use it to cause police, to cause something because they know there's a chance that we could have a murder on our hands. She knew that. She calculatedly knew that. And so for Christine to sit back now and say she's had enough, I think he's stupid. I think he's against the cause.
So now you're using the kind of language. You're using the kind of language that you chastised me for 2 weeks ago. Don't come on in and be a hypocrite. You chastised me for using that kind of language.
And animals. You call the children animals.
Yes, you did. That video went viral.
So the point I'm saying is,
don't change your words now.
After
next thing you'll start wearing a mask.
After all this, right? This guy could have been killed that day. And now he doesn't. He thinks she's suffered enough. Even in this climate, he's still thinking she suffered enough. This is Stockholm.
It was his experience. It wasn't yours.
It wasn't his experience. But if she got called and called the police and the police came and strangled him or put their neck on his feet on their neck, we would be fighting for him.
Yeah.
We want these women to understand that these men in America who are stopping people randomly to say, you know what, there's actually a law that stops me doing this. And because of Christian Cooper, he has now made this case. Him pulling back is so stupid. I can't get my head around it because he could have been killed. He could have been killed.
But he doesn't see it like that. He's not seeing it like that because he's obviously lived a very privileged life. He's very, you know, he's not in the. He's a bird watcher.
Why do we spend all our time telling everybody that we're different and ourselves telling ourselves that we are the same? He's a different kind of guy. You ever take binoculars and walk to a forest to look at birds?
Regardless of you're looking at birds or not, this is a black man living his best life. Maybe that's what he chose to do. Somebody decided. Did you hear the way she said? And did you see the way she did that? Enough. The man could have been killed.
So for you, let me just get this straight.
He was standing there, so he would have heard it. But he's saying she's had enough.
He would have felt it. Yeah. I'm asking you a question, Angie. Angie, remember, me and Curtis do anger. You are teaching us, okay? I think you've been very naughty today. Right. He was the one.
Did you call me naughty?
He did call you naughty. And considering the age difference between you, that's
I had to fight. All my life, I had to fight.
He was the one being spoken to.
Exactly.
He was the victim. It was his lived experience. She has lost her dog. She has lost her reputation. She has lost her job. And he, as the victim, deems this to be enough.
Because we're always forgiving. As soon as something does something to us, I know the Bible says forgive them for they know not what they do. Understand that, right?
This is a woman who just come from church, you know.
This is a Christian woman who just come from church. So that makes a difference still, because what I'm saying is I do believe in forgiveness, but forgiveness, we've been told to turn the other cheek. We've been told by our slave masters to walk away and that we'll get what we're supposed to get in heaven. And this is an example of that we can't look at them and prosecute them. Don't feel sorry for them, and nobody don't feel sorry for us. When you're lynching us and when you're killing us and murdering us and blocking our lives, nobody doesn't want to apologize. We can't even get an apology from the head of police force. We can't even get what we're supposed to get.
No, she gave an apology.
I can do it. Wait a minute. No, I can do that for you.
Which one are you did M1?
Angie Lamar is talking about the story that for 3 days people phoned me about. Could not get away from this story because it's effectively about stop and search, the rights of the Metropolitan Police, whether you should stop your car when you're asked to stop, and handcuffing a couple when their 3-month-old baby is in the back. Take a look at the original incident.
Wait, he didn't do anything! No. For what? Then why are you touching my son? He's in the car. My son is in the car. I don't want you to look after him. My son is in the car. No.
What did you make of it, Angie, when you first saw it?
I was so saddened, and I can't say angry because you guys might not understand that. But to see, right, hear her scream, no.
It's the baby. If I'm honest with you, it's the baby.
Because, you know why? Because in her heart, she didn't know what was going to happen, right? And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of us thinking, we don't know where this is going to go. When she's screaming about her child, my 3-month-old child, and she's saying, no. Every one of them bulls should be absolutely sacked. They should be sacked because they keep doing that. They keep putting their hands on us. They're not telling us what they're stopping us for, but they keep putting hands on us because they know it could go pear-shaped, and they know for a fact that they get the chance then to do what they want to do. Train your police officers, train your bull, train your Babylon to be able to stop people and be able to say to them, we're arresting you for this, not we smell drugs or we think this is going on. Fix up your police force, because that's why you can't get them off the streets. That's why they're reacting the way they're reacting, because you cannot treat people like that. That was disgusting. And they should be bowing to those people right now and saying, here's compensation. Here's what you're going to get for this. They should all be sacked. And when I saw that woman holding her up and pulling her, I thought to myself, as a woman, you couldn't even think to yourself, that's her child. They're wicked. They're a particular kind of demon. I said that. And if it's the last show I say that on today, I said it with my chest.
We got one more, so hold some back. I felt it as well. Curtis, I am coming to you, but I want you to see how the story developed. Take a look at the explanation from Bianca, and then a kind of apology from Dame Cressida Dick.
I know.
Doubt in your mind as to why you were stopped, you first.
I think it's because he was a black man driving a nice car, and like the car just happens to be all black. Because why else would I have made that turn to then follow us? But I'm sure if he wasn't black, we wouldn't be here right now.
This case, and as I said, my senior officer has I didn't say this, but she said, I'm sorry to Ms. Williams for the distress it has clearly caused her, and I say that too. So if there are lessons to be learned from it, we will learn them, and I am looking at handcuffing as a specific issue.
Are you now apologising to Bianca Williams and to her partner for what happened to them? I wasn't clear from what you said.
I think I was sorry. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. I thought I was very clear.
I just wanted to clarify.
We apologised yesterday to Ms. Williams, and I apologise again for the distress that this stop clearly caused her.
So, Angie, I'm not going to take away from anything that you said there, because for me, the single thing was the baby in the car. That superseded everything else. Nevertheless, I'm going to discuss something with Curtis now that caused me a lot of problems in this house this week, which is that I interviewed Bianca. And when I interviewed Bianca, there was one thing that she said, or two things rather. First, she had never had any contact with police in her entire life before, which told me, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but in the spirit of honesty, that she didn't know how to behave. And secondly, they were so close to home that she told her boyfriend who had been stopped 10 times previously to just carry on until they got home. So the fact that they didn't stop when they were asked to stop gave police a kind of impetus to do what they did. Let's discuss.
I've got a female friend who was being pulled over by police in her vehicle, and she didn't stop. She drove and drove and drove. Just as I think you're implying there, black men deal with the police a lot differently than black women. That is just the truth, because there is no way a black man in his right mind should be moving off again to say, "Oh, we're just round the corner." It's not going to end well for you, right? And that could be coonery as well. That means that we are behaving in a particular way. No. I'm saying as a black man, when police stop me, I stop. Sometimes I stop, I get out of the car and I walk away from the car and stand up on the pavement already. And I say, do what you're doing. But I don't want to engage with them because, as I said before, I do anger very easily. And I don't want one of the policemen to put their hand on me. I don't want them to be rifling through anything. So when they're doing that routine stop, or you look like somebody, remember they've checked your number plate 10 minutes before they stopped you, you know. They checked who you are. The police dealt with that in such an amateur way. You see what happened, even in this time that we're living in, and everybody's aware of where we are in regards to racial issues. You're telling me not one of those officers, not one of them considered this might be heavy-handed? What we're doing here might be heavy-handed?
It was investigated
not one of
twice,
them.
Curtis.
But they investigated it for themselves. You didn't investigate it. I didn't investigate it. If I'm investigating me, I'm a saint. You put me to investigate me. I'm a saint. If they're going to be investigated, it should be totally independent and somebody who's got some sense, for God's sake. Come on now. In this time, you're going to stop a mother and child because she's got a black partner? A big black man is the one that you're scared of still? Come on. It's so... I do anger very easily. So when the police stop me, I'm out. I'm like that. Do what you're doing. Don't talk, because they have this annoying thing where they try, "You all right, mate? Hey, what's going on? How you doing? Trying to friend me? You've stopped me for what? Oh, it's just a routine stop." Coincidentally, I got stopped 3 times in one day, you know. 3 times on a routine tip, driving across London. 3 times one day. That's routine for you? It became routine for me as a black man, yes. But the brother should have known better than to drive. When your girl says drive, you stop. Women don't get it. When your girl says drive on, you stop. You know, women will jump out of the car and say, "What are you going to do? Arrest me now? And jump up and down and give it. Listen, calm yourself.
Look, the fact of the matter is that with a lot of information and a lot of stuff that we've been watching over the last couple of weeks, right, we are highly sensitive and we're not clear on what is going to happen. That is fearful. So if somebody, you know what, I don't know, let's go to a safe place. You know, if you're in Jamaica and you knock somebody over, they say, don't even get out your car, drive straight to the police station and let them take it from there. Because they know at that moment.
No,
so
Angie,
we've got a lot
got to
of
listen to me.
I think
So you're telling me that
she's
David's
never been
good
stopped
for you?
before. She said she's never been stopped
If the
before.
police stop us, don't talk. As Dave said that to you, be honest with me. When the police stop us, don't talk. Because Angie, you're going to get him and you arrested because you do talk. I'm not saying it's right, Angie. I feel embarrassed to say it. But as a black man, I know how to behave.
Every black man knows if your woman's with you when you stop, you say to her, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. If you're in the car with your woman, you're getting stopped, you tell your woman. Every black man does this. Don't say nothing.
I've been in that situation before and we've got stopped and I have not said anything because I know that this is a sensitive situation. I'm not going to get out of the car and go, "Hey, what you doing?
Well, yes, Angie, I did. But
Based on what we've seen, Angie, yes, that is exactly what we think.
That's exactly what I thought you was doing.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why you lot get on my nerves.
And why we love you lot are making tears come.
And with women, you have to be careful where your relationship is at that point. You're getting stuck because some women will use it. And he says his boot. He's got stuff in the boot, you know.
In the house. Curtis, stop now. Stop. Okay. I think that we maybe should get the boss on now.
Please.
To read some more of these messages.
Hello, you are getting very passionate in there, and so are the people that are watching. I can loads of comments coming in on this. Let me read them. Yvonne Shaw says that regard to Amy Cooper, that man could have been dead without video evidence. Valerie Smith said, how did it escalate to that regarding Bianca? Patricia Brown says, we are not animals. And Angela says, film everything. It's your word against theirs. Thank you. Keep your messages coming in. Don't forget to share and like, and hashtag NoJoke. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, we're staying. Okay. I like that note of film everything, but I'm so rubbish with my phone. I'm so impressed sometimes when I see all the footage being filmed, because that would take me an hour. If I said to the woman, put your dog on a lead, I'd be like, all right, wait, hold on. Because how do they get their phones out so quick and start videoing?
They're ready to go. That's how we're tuned. Everybody's ready to go right now.
Yeah.
Ready
okay,
to
so I've left this one too long. I've got more stories. I did want to talk a little bit about Trevor Phillips, because I think maybe we've lost him completely now. I did want to talk about Darren. Listen, I've interviewed him, I've sat and talked to him, but every time I see Trevor now, it's like somebody's paying you. It's like I should just put uncle on the top of his head. It's just like I don't quite get why that's the only thing you ever come out. If you can say what you want, but you have to say it within the context of lots of other things. But he's the one that they wheel out now.
The
coloured gentleman. Let me hear from the coloured gentleman. I think it's just the journey that, when you're in the system, Eddie, you got to be careful of it as well. I think it's just something that happens over time. You kind of lose touch with your own common sense, and somebody's paying your bills, because it's David Lammy. Years ago, David Lammy went out with a young lady, a very famous young lady at the time. I had so
June Sapro.
Okay.
June Sapro. Yeah, we're naming names here today, Kurt.
Okay,
we're all going down together.
All right. I remember last week you gave out notice that you have to be careful about discussion. You're making me nervous. That's all. All right. So Drew Supper, I met them, and they were going to be my Beyonce and Jay-Z. I had so much high hope for them. I thought they're going to be the ones that are going to make a change because of their relationship and the fields they were both in separately. Then I'm watching David Lammy, and for decades, I couldn't hear nothing from him. And I'm thinking, where is David Lammy? I know he's in Tottenham, but it wasn't until the uprising and then the Windrush, suddenly it got personal to him, because they were ready to send somebody in his family home. And if you lay down with dogs, you will wake up with fleas and which was brilliant. But I want more of that. I want you all the time on that. And if you remember, years and years ago, David Lammy had a chance to stand for not a prime minister, but it was a big job, and he chose not to. And this is where that line of, do you want it or don't you want it? Do you believe in yourself or don't you? And we all go through that. But Black people can affect change. We need people to stay focused.
Okay, so do you know how difficult it is then? So even doing this, if we're really honest, you and Angie are allowed to speak your truth in a different way to me because of my day job. But do you know how challenging it is, how difficult it is for everybody? He is an MP. He's not MP of Tottenham. He's not the MP of Black people in Tottenham.
No, he's not. But what I'm saying is stand for something. Stand for something or fall for everything. That's all I'm saying. Stand for something. Stand for something, man.
Tremendous work through Windrush.
He did. He did, but Eddie, prior to that, what was he doing? Housing? Probably, because I know he was doing a lot on housing.
Well, he knew Khadija, didn't he, in Grenfell?
That's right.
So he was very vocal about.
You're too up to date now, Grenfell.
The reason I'm challenging you, I think that sometimes people have unrealistic expectations of people in public positions. So,
it's easily done. It's easily done. There's things that people are passionate about. There's things that they're not going to stand for. We're talking about Christian Cooper right now. He's not about pursuing that. That's not what his argument is. That's what we're saying. But there are times when we expect you to stand.
But why has Trevor Phillips chosen now to make a statement that we've got more? What was the quote he did? We've got more to fear from black gangs than we have from the police.
Yes, the answer to your question is yes. I'm stopping it. I have to, because we've got 5 minutes and we deserve to have some fun.
Can't we do extra 2 minutes? Where are you going?
No, it's 5 to 2.
Why can't you extend it for 5 minutes?
Okay, right. Listen, well, when I show you, because you talked about being together, Curtis has just talked about David Lammy and June Sarpong being his Beyonce.
June Sarpong's got 100 million. I hope you get some money from that. I hope you get some shows from that, guys. She's got 100 million. So maybe Mr. Lammy left too soon.
She won't answer. I've emailed her. I've told her. Angie Lamar says she knows you, June. Can you give us a little something? And she ain't even replied.
They're not coming to us. We know that. They're not coming to us.
So fine. That's why we're on here. But listen, I have to do this. I've already, Angie, look at your page and look how somebody cussed me for this on your page already today. Just take a look at an update on a story we brought to you here. No jokes. Last week, we alluded to the fact there was another story, maybe a damage limitation, what people do in their own houses. But
cut to it, man. You're running out of time. Go on.
It's going over.
Boss lady, let's go.
I think you need to say clearly what happened.
As far as what?
You and I decided we were going to take our space, and what happened.
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship. Absolutely. I was in a lot of pain, and I was very broken. Now, in the process of that relationship, I definitely realized that you can't find happiness outside of yourself.
Entanglement with August. Entanglement with August.
Now, you see, this is going back to what Eddie's saying about sometimes you can overanalyze that red table there. You see the red table Angie highlighted for me last week because I wasn't aware of what was going on with that. My God. Respect to her, respect to Jada, because a lot of people get caught out, and it's 4 years ago, but they've got Will sitting there, and he's hurting. There was tears in his eyes.
He looks like that scene where he said, "Why he don't want me." Remember the scene?
Yes.
In Fresh Prince, the best scene he's ever done. He looked like he got beat up, and somebody said to him, "Stay there, don't move."
Now listen, you know what? We spoke about this last week, and I will say this: the biggest mistake that Jada made was that she interviewed herself. She should have had somebody interview her. But
I think that was his role, because he kept saying, "I've got to talk to you as the red table."
But they both needed to be spoken to. Somebody else needed to say, so what do you mean by that? Because how could she sit there and say, well, I had an entanglement, and he says an entanglement. Listen, they've come downstairs together, right? I don't even think they live together. No one's talking to each other. They're both actors sitting down there. And I think when he said org, right? The manager's been dealing with, right? And you're going to call him like org. Tell me about org. This to me is a machinery of absolute top class PR at best. And I even think org is sitting.
Well, it's a disaster. And
if his PR has gone horribly wrong. I just think if they do have that kind of relationship, I respect it. If they do have that kind of relationship where he's calling this guy org,
can you see Kima's message?
They're hiding something. Now listen, they're hiding something bigger, right? And we all kind of know what that is. They're hiding something bigger, right?
We all know what it is.
Yeah.
I dare you to say it, Angie.
I dare you to say it, Angie.
Angie, you're the person who's praying. You always talk about speaking your truth. What do you think is really going on, Angie?
I think their relationship, the relationship that both of them have, Years ago, I was in LA and somebody sat me down and broke down how Hollywood is working, right? Who's in relationship with who and who's whatever. And I remember hearing stories about their relationship and going, no, don't tell me, because they have different types of relationship. I'm not going to say it because I'm not.
Oh, well, say that then. Now I thought you were going to mention entanglement again. When you ask a woman a question, I want a straight answer. Don't go back. You had lunch in LA.
Then I know where I stand, Angie.
And
then we know where we are.
They have an understanding. If somebody says we've gone from a relationship, a marriage, to an arrangement, they are telling us indirectly they do different things. And what couple do you know can sit down against each other and go, yeah, so tell me about the brother, tell me about you, tell me about him. Yeah, everything cool. Oh, so is that what it is?
The Nestors?
On. I'm glad that the Nestors can do that, but that's not the real world. Okay. So,
and that's the point, that they don't live in the real world.
Oh, hey,
can you explain to me how a man has had an affair, right? And is sitting there discussing it with his wife in the way that Jada was with Will. It's nonsense.
This is where I say sometimes we've gone too far with the analysing it. When a brother man can sit down there, his wife's telling him about August, and he says like it's his brethren. The brother August came in because he didn't feel well. He was sick. This is her justification. He was sick.
Do you think for a minute that August in that interview felt that he could say that without anybody giving him the permission to say that? Do you think in his mind, in his career, that he's without them knowing that he was going to talk about this? I think everybody knew. I think August and them are sitting down laughing with
I just want to say
Jada.
Respect to Jada, respect to Will. Whatever they're doing, it's so entertaining. I know it's not our business, but my God, I saw a brother sit down there and the woman told him about entanglement. He wanted her to say the word. Even if she gave him, I slept with him, that would have made him feel a little better. Entanglement? Even he was like, what? What's entanglement? Now,
he was 22 years old in a very distressed time in his life.
August.
Life. Yeah, he was 20
August.
Time. So this is a lot of things to really be thinking about and talking about. That's why they've given us what they want to hear. We've run away with it. They've gone to dinner and it's fine.
And he only went there because he had a cold. The man had a sniffle. She said he was sick, and we want to make him better. Well done, Jada. You made him better, baby.
When I saw the interview, I had to go back and look at the interview with August again. And if you go back and look at the interview with August, it maybe isn't as salacious as it sounds. It sounds to me like he went there in a bad way. He effectively, I think you would call it something else. Let's say seduced, but you could say another word. He found himself in a place where he thought he was having a relationship. It was an open secret. Then people were speaking badly about him. It cost him money. It cost him relationships. And it was tearing apart his soul. So people were judging him and hating him, and he didn't feel as though he could express himself. So he had to speak his truth in order for him to be alive. When I looked at it again, because this is manipulation, this is grooming. They are in a power position. If a 20-year-old comes to my house and we take that person in, and then you start, it's the same sort of thing that they talk about with these guys. Of course. It's not right. It can't be right. But I'm not sure they've come out of it in the way that they picked it.
That's why when you say it's a planned and organised, it's a terrible PR thing then, because I don't see the upside of this.
You'd be surprised when people say good news, bad news is all good.
Yes.
This is the height of it, the highest level.
Yeah.
So when I say that, I'm not saying it like, I think that's what it is. I'm saying that to what came out, the way they've dealt with it was so badly executed.
And have you noticed? Sorry,
it's to punch fist and then act like
bad marriage for life. Bad marriage for life. But have you noticed? A lot of women were saying, "Oh, he cheated as well. He cheated as well." And I didn't get that from the interview.
About getting her back, and she said, "Oh, you've already done it." But I think, trust me, there are lots and lots of people with whom they may have had entanglements who are now looking at this.
Yeah,
and there are lots of journalists who had rumors who are now going to be looking. I promise you, this won't be the end of this particular story.
God, no.
I'm not sure whether we're going to talk about it again, but it isn't the end of the story. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen.
And wish them well.
Listening. Angie.
Thank you for the entanglement.
Both of us got up in our feelings today, Angie. Thank you. I'm glad the makeup order. Is that a particular type of makeup? That cry-proof makeup?
What, that I've got on?
Yeah.
No, I use Antonio Burrell's products, and this is my skin, and it just allows for. I'm chatting rubbish, guys.
We know we've been doing that for the hour.
No,
Eddie, what makeup you using, Eddie?
You've done it all your life.
What makeup you using, Eddie?
Listen, when you go to the barber, tell him to fix your face up a little bit as well. Yeah. You're just fixing up your hair. You need a little scrape up.
He hasn't done my hair. That's why I put the hat on, man.
He's not even trying. I think that he needs to.
I'm not.
No, he's not.
It's next week.
I leave it to you, Angie. I don't want to outshine you, Angie.
You can't.
No, but seriously,
wait till you see my lipstick next week, the last one.
You wait all the time.
Should we dress up next week? It's our last one.
It's our last one, so I don't get to see you guys.
Why are you putting mosquito killer on your lip?
I'm gonna miss. He's silly. You just got to bear with it. Go walk the dog. Go walk the dog.
Don't make me cuss now. Come on.
Don't
leave it till you two leave. I don't want to leave the party till you two leave. Bad, you'll start cussing me.
Don't get angry, because Curtis don't want to get angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. All my life, I had to fight.
The whole life you had to fight, and that's just your husband.
I don't fight my husband.
Hey, you're going too far now. Bye-bye, Curtis.
Bye-bye.
Next week is our last week. Fix up yourself a little bit, yeah?
At least try.
Shower.
At least try, Curtis.
I got to wash.
Angie, God bless you. Love you.
God is gone.
August is coming. It is our last week. Excuse me. It is our last week. Next week, we said we were going to do 6. You can see that we've tried to do it. I'd love to do more. I think Angie would and Curtis would. I think I'd love to have guests in. We've invited Gina on, but she's working on her new series over in America, and it just doesn't work. Thank you for watching. Next week we'll be back here, as I say, for our last week. Really appreciate all your comments, all your feedback, and hopefully just for an hour there's stuff to talk about, and even if it's taking the mickey out of us. Have yourself an absolutely brilliant week. Thank you very much to the boss, whose technical prowess is unequaled anywhere on any planet in the entire solar system. God bless you. Take it easy, everybody. Look after yourself. And next week, no joke, 1 p.m. sharp.